I had a very positive experience with a remarkable nurse practitioner named Sherry Goldman at UCLA in Los Angeles, and she was in charge of a special program for breast cancer, a disease of which I had. And I was suffering from terrible side effects from the chemotherapy and radiation treatments that I had received. They were getting definitely the best of my body and my mind by that point. Well, I walked into her office for my appointment, and she did the standard physical examination on me, but she also asked me how I felt, and remarkably, she waited for the answer. I was very open and honest with her, with every detail. She listened, and then she validated my feelings, and that made me feel less alone with my thoughts. Her medical suggestion to improve my status was to take walks every day. She said, start small, short distances, a block or two, and then make it longer with each day. Well, my response to her was a resounding, no, I don't want to. I don't feel good, I don't look good, and I don't have the energy. Well, Sherry, the nurse practitioner, she sat quietly for a moment, absorbing my adamant stance. And then she said to me those magic words. The words that only one could say if they had really taken the time to listen while having the keen observational skills to sense what was the problem with a simple walk. What were her words? Her words were, then don't walk for you, Marla. Walk for me. And I want to hear how much you've walked every day when you come back to see me in 2 weeks. Well, suddenly my eyes lit up, my back straightened, and there was a fire in my belly, and it wasn't acid indigestion, folks. I went home that day, and I started to walk, and I walked every day, more and more, longer and further, and soon I was walking for hours every day. And I was chomping at the bit that I couldn't wait to report back to Sherry with pride of my accomplishment. And 2 weeks later, I did just that. And when I saw her, I looked like a new person. And you know what? I was. There's a belief that one shouldn't do things to please somebody else, but only to please oneself. Well, that's all well and good some of the time, but there really are other times where it's imperative to break that rule. If pleasing somebody else is key to getting a person back on track and healthy again, then so be it. And that's exactly what happened with me. Not only did my health improve and my strength and my mental status, but I took up jogging. And now I run every day for me. And I haven't stopped there. I am entering my first marathon at the end of this month. It's a 5K, but it means a lot to me. And I haven't had that kind of positive experience dealing with the medical profession since. But regardless of that, I will never forget what that incredibly intuitive and talented and intelligent nurse practitioner did for me. I will never forget it. I'm Marla Lukovsky, and those were my magical words. Thank you.
Allow me to briefly go over what you just saw. The magical words, as Marla Lukovsky puts it, tells us about the healing power of something so simple as information. This healing potential was generated in Marla because of the empathy shown by one of her caregivers who just listened to her. And that itself was treatment. Not drugs, not surgery, but something as small as listening gave the treatment. So who am I and how do I fit into this jigsaw? Well, I'm just a regular medical student, the typical one, the one with the boring life, and the one who doesn't pick up your phone calls because he's busy studying or solving MCQs. That is also studying. But one tiny bit of information for the uninitiated, the medical curricula for a single semester that we study is actually the coursework of most undergrads, the whole course. Anyway, before I digress too further, there's a teeny weeny bit difference between me and a regular medical student. I am involved in making a difference, maybe in a very small way, but making a difference nonetheless. Being a part of this living and growing network that we call the User-Driven Healthcare Network. In the succeeding sets of images and videos, I will take you through this journey to explain what exactly is user-driven healthcare. And I'll also be joined by some of my global health educators, virtually, of course. So anyway, before I bore you to death, or even worse, sleep, let me show you what some of our educators have to say about user-driven healthcare.
Dr. Amy Price with Power to Go. User-driven healthcare has been a tremendous advantage in my life. It has helped me because I've had the opportunity to work with doctors, with consultants, and with students, and watch people grow in a multidisciplinary way.
My name is Susan Ross. I'm a physician with a long-standing interest in evidence-based medicine and a more recent interest in user-driven healthcare,
which let the voices of patients be heard and integrated.
Dr. Amy Price with Power. Dr. Amy Price with Power to Go. User-driven healthcare has been a tremendous advantage in my life. It has helped me because I've had the opportunity to work with doctors, with consultants, and with students, and watch people grow in a multidisciplinary way.
My name is Susan Ross. I'm a physician with a long-standing interest in evidence-based medicine and a more recent interest in user-driven healthcare,
which let the voices of patients be heard and integrated in the teaching of medical students, where students come to see patients as persons like themselves, framed in each their own complex contemporary context. This becomes needed lessons in empathy to our future
New
doctors.
Paradigm in healthcare delivery aimed at not only empowering patients and caregivers, but additionally it aims to synthesize the patient's lived experiences and a caregiver's perspectives with real-time physician's perspective and expert skills that are imparted at the level of the providers. More importantly, by bringing in evidence-based practice, knowledge-based and caregiving process, it not only standardizes and contextualizes treatment and provides a holistic patient management. We are actually changing the paradigm of thinking and working about patient care.
The user-driven healthcare network is like a natural neural network that you see in all of us. As opposed to the artificial network that you see here, a natural neural network is dependent on human connections. It thrives on human connections, that is between me, you, and everyone. What we have tried to develop here is a web page where patients come in and enter their information, their relevant data, including their complaints and any other info which they want to share with us. This becomes the input. Now, this is fed into a hidden network of health professionals, which is not visible to the patient. They deliberate on this info, and what is presented to the patient finally is the relevant output. You see our website here again. This is one of our past cases. It is an 80-year-old man who presented with a sudden loss of senses. The input here consists of not only his complaint, but also his CT scan, his family values, his lack of resources, and also his rural remote location, which all form a part of the input process. This is then deliberated by, again, our health professionals who reach a decision. This decision is a conscious, shared decision between our network moderator as well as his family. And finally, it was decided that instead of going for invasive surgery, he should be given symptomatic treatment. And boy, it worked. Anyway, let me briefly tell you how this happens. The patient comes and gives in his info. We then assign him a random botanical username. This serves two purposes. One, it helps to protect his privacy. And two, we encourage the patients to nurture these plants as their own, as the plants represent not only them, but also their records. So anyway, next, we show some of our experiences that our global health educators have had in this field. We see the linkages between from somewhere as far as Boston to Bilaspur, central India. Well, besides both starting with B, I can hardly spot any similarities between the two. Anyway, so we go on. We also see some of, as Dr. Sarbadekar already said, some of our past projects, which include Tabula Rasa, which is Latin for clean slate. This is a platform for online healthcare learners as well as medical students to come and share what they know, not only rare cases, but also mundane daily cases that they see. Then we have HIFA 2015, Healthcare Information for All 2015, which is a global platform for deliberating healthcare policy issues as well as dealing with healthcare information. Then we have the International Journal of User-Driven Healthcare, our platform, our journal, which encourages patients to communicate with academics, and also for academics to share with them.
Who want to help underprivileged people, but are unable to do so because of their distances. Last year, we started an online consulting program where physicians in rural Chhattisgarh in an organization called Janaswasthya Sahyog, JSS, could refer their cases to us. Called Janasgarh in an organization called Janaswasthya Sahyog, JSS, could refer their cases to us, and we would use our online professional network to try and suggest appropriate management for those patients. Over 100 cases have been discussed till date, and this includes a patient that I saw in my practice in Boston. This was a case of a young woman who had recently returned from India and was having high fever without any known cause. I thought it was typhoid, but labs were unusual. The physicians at JSS are much more aware of this condition, have more experience, and were able to guide the right diagnosis, avoid the delay in diagnosis or the start of therapy, and the patient did well. So for patients in rural Chhattisgarh to patient in a teaching hospital in Boston, the consultation network and the patient care took a full circle.
And I just want to share one example. We had a young lady, and she was mentally retarded, and she'd just come into puberty, had her first period, and she had no idea she couldn't handle that situation with the discomfort, and so she would take off all her clothes. Her parents, of course, didn't know what to do. And so doctors, neuroscientists, psychologists, and everyone chimed in, and we found resources from all over the world until we could find a solution to help this young lady. And everyone did this free of charge, just to make a difference in one person's life.
Scientists to keep track of their own health. We must enable them to journal their lives to themselves, framing symptoms and treatments within the broader context of their particular lifestyles, habits, economies, and social interactions. They are the closest to assemble and reflect the relevant data concerning their case, keeping the freeware application a patient and caretaker diary tool for such purpose. It can be used by any citizen with a laptop to record and retrieve, when they care, whatever they personally find relevant during the days and nights of their private lives. A special innovative feature of the program is a library with pictograms, usable as shorthand for swift recording of typical habits, actions, states, symptoms, and situations in the everyday household.
Heard of Pandora Radio. If you have a smartphone, you can access internet radio that allows you to go in and set your own parameters for the kind of music you might be interested in listening to. Now, imagine if you could do this for healthcare information. Imagine if you could go into your smartphone app and request, for instance, osteoporosis, alendronate, efficacy in women age 55. Ideally, there would be a database of medical information that had been built in much the same way that they are building the music database for Pandora, that would immediately deliver the summary results that had been vetted of answers to the question that you've posed in various formats that you might choose. Whether you're a patient or provider, you might choose a different way of seeing it.
Changing the paradigm of thinking and working about patient care. We are living in an age of technology. We are living in an age of where people are connected more than ever, and as you have seen that there are new devices and new connections being forged, and healthcare goes global. So what we get to see is this: that there is a new generation of blending and blended patient care will eventually pave the way for enabling delivery of very high quality healthcare. Eventually, it's going to bring in effective, efficacious, efficient healthcare practices within everyone's reach. And you are the focus. You who are the teacher, the client, the practitioner, all of you will benefit from it. So there is a call to come and join us, the user-driven healthcare community, and learn
There have
more.
been other benefits of this program, and this has been on the participants. For me, it has changed my attitude in several different ways. I've become more aware of the resource utilization in my own practice. I've also come to realize that patients in small places don't only have small diseases. In fact, even simple conditions can become very complex over there because of the socioeconomic overlays and because of the inaccessibility of timely medical expertise.
I'm Joan Young. In 1992, I was diagnosed with immune thrombocytopenia, ITP, an autoimmune disease where your body attacks your platelets. As treatment after treatment failed and my platelet count hovered near zero, I began to look elsewhere. Luckily, I found a Reiki nurse, macrobiotic counselors, an Ayurvedic physician, and others who helped me regain my health. The doctors I told discounted my recovery, so I created a website and founded an organization to help others diagnosed with ITP. That's when I learned I was not alone. I heard from many people who also discovered things outside of the medical mainstream that raised their platelet count. There was a whole world of healing and learning that was hidden. The stories just needed to be gathered, accepted, and shared. We, the patients, were given a voice. We continued to learn from each other, and we continued to share our collective wisdom, and we have helped each other recover and live full lives.
আমাদের এখানে চলে এখানকার সাধারণ গরিব মানুষরাও তারা সুচিকিৎসা অভাবে কোনো ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হবে না এইটুকু আশা করতে পারি।
As you saw last, our patients form an integral part of a network. They are our most important educators, as they are the final benefactors of what we come to learn. So what are you waiting for? Come and join us. You don't need to be connected in any way with medical education or medicine in any case. You just need to be inspired. And just as the User-Driven Healthcare Network has inspired me, I hope this talk goes a long way in inspiring you to join us too. Thank you for your time.